Right now, as you're watching this video, there's a woman somewhere who just walked past a man and didn't even register his existence. He's probably a good guy, maybe even successful, but to her, he's completely invisible. Meanwhile, there's another man who walks into the same room, and suddenly every conversation stops. Women glance in his direction, their body language shifts, and they find themselves inexplicably drawn to his presence. What's the difference between these two men? It's not what most people think. It's not money, looks, or even charm in the traditional sense. It's something far more primal, far more powerful, and completely within your control to develop. I'm about to share with you the psychological principles and strategic frameworks that separate the men women ignore from the men they can't stop thinking about. This isn't about pickup lines or superficial tricks. This is about understanding the deep psychological triggers that create genuine attraction and becoming the type of man who naturally commands attention and respect. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why some men effortlessly attract women while others struggle endlessly. And more importantly, you'll know how to position yourself in that first category. The foundation of becoming irresistible begins with understanding what psychologist Robert Cialdini calls the principle of scarcity. Women are naturally attracted to men who appear to have options, not because they're playing games, but because scarcity signals value. When a man is always available, always eager to please, and always putting a woman's needs before his own, he unconsciously communicates that he has nothing else important going on in his life. This creates what evolutionary psychologists call mate value discrepancy, where the woman perceives herself as having higher social and sexual market value than the man pursuing her. The Stoic philosophers understood this principle thousands of years ago, though they framed it differently. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of maintaining your center regardless of external circumstances. When applied to attraction, this means developing an unshakable sense of self-worth that doesn't fluctuate based on any woman's response to you. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about being so grounded in your own value that you don't need external validation to feel complete. Women can sense this quality immediately, and it's incredibly attractive because it suggests you're a man who has his life together and won't become emotionally dependent on her. David D'Angelo, one of the pioneers in understanding attraction psychology, identified what he called the attraction formula. Attraction equals emotional connection multiplied by unpredictability. Most men fail because they become completely predictable. They text immediately, they're always free when she wants to see them. They agree with everything she says, and they make their interest so obvious that there's no mystery left to unravel. The man she can't ignore understands that attraction thrives on tension, and tension requires some degree of uncertainty. This doesn't mean being inconsistent or unreliable. It means being selectively available and maintaining an air of mystery about your thoughts, feelings, and intentions. When she texts you, you might respond quickly sometimes and take a few hours other times, not as a manipulation tactic, but because you genuinely have other important things going on in your life. When she makes a statement, you might agree, or you might playfully challenge her perspective, keeping her guessing about what you're really thinking. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful form of behavioral conditioning known to science. The concept of frame control, popularized by authors like Eben Pagan and later refined by coaches like Todd Valentine, is absolutely crucial to becoming irresistible. Your frame is essentially your reality, your interpretation of what's happening in any given situation. A weak frame means you're constantly looking to others, especially women, to define the reality of the interaction. A strong frame means you're the one defining that reality, and others naturally follow your lead. Consider this scenario. You're talking to a woman and she tests you by saying something slightly provocative or challenging. A man with a weak frame immediately goes into defense mode, trying to explain himself or seeking her approval. A man with a strong frame might smile, maintain eye contact, and respond with something like, "That's exactly what someone who's never met a man like me would say." He's not being arrogant, he's simply refusing to let her frame define his reality. And instead, he's playfully reframing the interaction on his terms. Frame control extends beyond individual interactions into how you view yourself and your place in the world. The man she can't ignore has what cognitive behavioral therapists call an internal locus of control. He believes that his actions and decisions primarily determine his outcomes, not external circumstances or other people's opinions. This creates a magnetic confidence that women find irresistible, because it suggests he's the type of man who can handle challenges and create the life he wants. Robert Greene, in his masterwork, The Art of Seduction, identifies what he calls the rake archetype. The rake is irresistible because he makes every woman feel like she's the most fascinating person in the world when he's with her, yet he maintains an aura of danger and unpredictability. He's intensely present in the moment, but she can never quite pin him down or fully possess him. This creates an addictive dynamic where she finds herself constantly thinking about him, trying to figure him out, and wanting more of his attention. The key to embodying this archetype without becoming manipulative is to genuinely find something fascinating about every woman you interact with, while simultaneously maintaining your own mysterious depth. You listen intently to what she's saying. You ask thoughtful questions that show you're paying attention, but you also reveal just enough about yourself to keep her curious. You might share a story that reveals something intriguing about your past, but you don't elaborate. You might mention a passion or goal that lights up your eyes, but you don't go into exhaustive detail. You give her glimpses of your depth without laying everything bare. The Stoic concept of memento mori, remembering that life is finite, actually plays a crucial role in becoming irresistible. When you truly internalize that your time on this earth is limited, you naturally become more selective about how you spend it and who you spend it with. This selectivity is incredibly attractive because it communicates that your time and attention are valuable resources. A woman can sense when a man has options and when he doesn't. And this sensing happens on a completely subconscious level through micro-expressions, body language, and conversational patterns. Neil Strauss, in The Game, documented how the most successful men in the attraction space weren't necessarily the most naturally gifted, but rather those who had developed what he called outcome independence. They were genuinely more interested in expressing their authentic selves and having fun interactions than in achieving any specific result with any particular woman. This paradox is central to becoming irresistible. The less you need any individual woman's approval or affection, the more attractive you become to women in general. This doesn't mean being indifferent or uncaring. It means being so fulfilled by your own life goals and personal development that adding a woman to your life is a bonus, not a necessity. When you operate from this place of abundance rather than scarcity, everything about your energy changes. You become more playful, more confident, more willing to take social risks, and more authentic in your interactions. Women can feel this energy immediately, and it's magnetic because it's so rare among men. The importance of developing what psychologists call emotional intelligence cannot be overstated in becoming the man she can't ignore. Emotional intelligence involves 4 key components: self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. Most men focus exclusively on the external techniques of attraction while completely neglecting these internal capabilities, which is why they struggle to maintain attraction even when they initially create it. Self-awareness means understanding your own emotional patterns, triggers, and reactions. A man with high self-awareness notices when he's becoming needy or desperate and can course correct before it affects his interactions. He recognizes when he's operating from a place of scarcity versus abundance and can shift his mindset accordingly. This level of self-awareness allows him to remain attractive even in challenging situations because he's not being unconsciously driven by his emotions. Self-regulation means having the ability to manage your emotional responses rather than being controlled by them. When a woman cancels a date at the last minute, a man with strong self-regulation doesn't immediately assume the worst or react with anger or hurt. Instead, he considers multiple possibilities, responds gracefully, and maintains his emotional equilibrium. This emotional stability is incredibly attractive because it suggests he won't become a source of drama or emotional chaos in her life. Social awareness, particularly as it relates to women, means being able to read the subtle cues that indicate her level of interest, comfort, and emotional state. The man she can't ignore notices when she's testing him, when she's genuinely interested, when she needs space, and when she's ready for him to escalate the interaction. He doesn't rely on her to explicitly tell him these things because he's developed the skill of reading between the lines. Relationship management means being able to influence the emotional tone and direction of your interactions in positive ways. This might mean knowing how to diffuse tension with humor, how to create deeper connection through vulnerability, or how to maintain attraction through playful teasing. It's the difference between stumbling through interactions reactively and skillfully navigating them with intention and awareness. The concept of sexual polarity, extensively explored by David Data in The Way of the Superior Man, is fundamental to creating the kind of attraction that makes you irresistible. Sexual polarity exists between masculine and feminine energy, and attraction is essentially the magnetic pull between these opposite poles. Most modern men have been conditioned to suppress their masculine energy in an attempt to be more likable or politically correct, but this actually reduces their attractiveness because it eliminates the polarity that creates sexual tension. Masculine energy in this context isn't about being domineering or aggressive. It's about being directed, purposeful, and emotionally centered. It's about having a mission in life that's bigger than any individual relationship, and pursuing that mission with unwavering focus. It's about being able to make decisions confidently and stand behind them. It's about being comfortable with your own sexuality and not apologizing for your desires. When you embody healthy masculine energy, you naturally create space for a woman to express her feminine energy, which feels good to her and creates attraction. The psychological principle of investment, first identified in Robert Cialdini's work on influence, plays a crucial role in becoming irresistible. People value most what they've invested the most effort into obtaining. When you make yourself too easily available or give too much too soon, you eliminate the opportunity for her to invest in earning your attention and affection. The man she can't ignore understands that attraction often grows in proportion to the effort someone has invested in pursuing it. This doesn't mean being difficult for the sake of being difficult. It means having genuine standards and boundaries that she needs to meet to earn access to more of your time and energy. Maybe you don't give out your number to just anyone. Maybe you don't immediately agree to date plans that are convenient for her, but inconvenient for you. Maybe you don't share your deepest thoughts and feelings until she's demonstrated that she's worthy of that level of intimacy. Each of these boundaries creates an opportunity for her to invest more effort, which increases her sense of attraction and attachment. The role of storytelling in becoming irresistible cannot be underestimated. Humans are wired to respond to stories on both emotional and neurological levels. When you tell a compelling story, you're not just sharing information, you're creating an experience that allows her to feel emotions and form memories associated with you. The most attractive men are master storytellers who can paint vivid pictures with their words and take women on emotional journeys during conversation. Effective storytelling for attraction involves several key elements. First, your stories should reveal attractive qualities about yourself without explicitly stating them. Instead of saying, "I'm adventurous," you tell a story about the time you decided to take an impromptu road trip to a different country. Instead of saying, "I'm successful," you mention casually how you had to reschedule this conversation because you were dealing with an important business decision. The story demonstrates the quality rather than just claiming it. Second, your stories should evoke emotions. The best stories take the listener through a range of feelings: anticipation, excitement, concern, relief, joy. When she experiences these emotions while listening to your story, she associates those feelings with you, making you more memorable and attractive. Third, your stories should be interactive. Ask her questions about her own experiences, draw parallels to things she might relate to, and make her an active participant in the narrative rather than a passive listener. The importance of developing what evolutionary psychologists call social proof cannot be ignored in your journey to becoming irresistible. Social proof is the psychological phenomenon where people determine what's correct or attractive based on what other people think is correct or attractive. If other people, especially other women, find you attractive and valuable, it makes you more attractive and valuable to any individual woman you're interacting with. Building genuine social proof isn't about faking popularity or name-dropping. It's about actually becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts positive attention and respect from others. This might mean developing your conversational skills so people enjoy talking to you. It might mean pursuing interests and hobbies that put you in contact with interesting people. It might mean building a career or business that you're genuinely passionate about and that others find impressive. When you have legitimate social proof, It shows up naturally in conversation through stories, references, and the way you carry yourself. The principle of pre-selection, which is closely related to social proof, suggests that women are more attracted to men who are already desired by other women. This isn't about being dishonest or manipulative, but rather about understanding that your perceived value in the sexual marketplace is significantly influenced by how other women respond to you. When you're the kind of man who has female friends, who women feel comfortable around, and who women seek out for advice or companionship, it signals to any new woman you meet that you understand women and have been pre-approved by them. The concept of push-pull, extensively documented in the attraction literature, is a crucial technique for maintaining the tension that keeps attraction alive. Push-pull involves alternating between showing interest and creating distance, between being available and being scarce, between being warm and being challenging. This creates an emotional roller coaster that, when used ethically and skillfully, keeps her engaged and thinking about you. An example of push-pull might look like this. You have an amazing conversation with her where you're both laughing and connecting deeply, then you mention that you have to leave because you have other plans. You're pulling her in with the great interaction, then pushing her away by leaving. Or you might compliment her intelligence while playfully teasing her about something silly she said. You're pushing and pulling simultaneously, keeping her slightly off balance in a way that maintains attraction. The key to using push-pull effectively is ensuring that it comes from a genuine place rather than manipulation. You should actually have other plans that are important to you. You should genuinely appreciate her intelligence while also finding her quirks endearing. When push-pull is authentic, it doesn't feel manipulative to her. It feels exciting and unpredictable in the best possible way. Understanding the psychology of qualification is essential for becoming the man she can't ignore. Qualification involves making her work to prove herself worthy of your continued attention and interest. Most men do all the qualifying in their interactions with women, constantly trying to prove they're good enough for her. The irresistible man flips this dynamic by subtly making her qualify herself to him. This might involve asking her questions that require her to demonstrate attractive qualities. Instead of asking generic questions like, "What do you do for work?" you might ask, "What's something you're genuinely passionate about?" This forces her to think about and articulate something meaningful about herself, and in doing so, she's qualifying herself as someone who has depth and passion. Or you might say something like, "I can tell you're not just another pretty face," which compliments her while simultaneously suggesting that she needs to be more than just attractive to hold your interest. The Stoic practice of voluntary discomfort, popularized by philosophers like Seneca and Epictetus, has direct applications to becoming more attractive. When you regularly do things that are uncomfortable but beneficial, you develop what psychologists call distress tolerance. This shows up in your interactions with women as an ability to remain calm and centered even when things don't go according to plan, when you're being tested, or when you're in unfamiliar social situations. A man who has practiced voluntary discomfort might take cold showers every morning, fast periodically, have difficult conversations when necessary, or push himself physically beyond his comfort zone. These practices build mental resilience that translates into social confidence. When you're comfortable being uncomfortable, you become much more willing to take social risks, express unpopular opinions, and stand up for your boundaries, all of which are attractive qualities. The role of physical presence and nonverbal communication in attraction is massive. Research by Albert Mehrabian showed that communication is roughly 7% words, 38% tone of voice, and 55% body language. This means that more than 90% of your attractiveness is communicated through how you say things and how you carry yourself, not what you actually say. The man she can't ignore has mastered his physical presence. He takes up space appropriately without being obnoxious. He maintains steady eye contact without staring. He speaks slowly and clearly, using pauses for emphasis rather than rushing through his words. He touches appropriately and confidently when the situation calls for it. His posture communicates confidence and relaxation simultaneously. All of these nonverbal elements work together to create an aura of attractiveness that's felt rather than consciously noticed. Voice tonality deserves special attention because it's such a powerful attractor that most men completely ignore. Women are incredibly sensitive to vocal qualities because they provide subconscious information about your emotional state, confidence level, and sexual vitality. A voice that's too high-pitched suggests nervousness or youth. A voice that's too monotone suggests boredom or depression. The most attractive vocal qualities include speaking from your chest rather than your throat, using a slightly slower pace than feels natural, incorporating strategic pauses, and allowing your voice to have emotional range that matches your content. The concept of outcome independence, while mentioned earlier, deserves deeper exploration because it's so fundamental to irresistible attraction. Outcome independence means being genuinely more interested in the process of interaction than in any specific result. When you're truly outcome independent, you're not trying to get her number, you're not trying to get her into bed, you're not trying to make her your girlfriend. You're simply enjoying the present moment and expressing your authentic self. This mindset shift is profound because it eliminates the needy, agenda-driven energy that women find so unattractive. When she can sense that you want something from her, it creates resistance and makes her put up defensive barriers. When she senses that you're simply enjoying her company without needing anything from her, she can relax and be herself, which creates the conditions for genuine attraction to develop. Outcome independence also makes you much more attractive because it suggests that you have abundance in your life. A man who desperately needs a particular woman's approval or affection is communicating that he doesn't have other options. A man who can genuinely take or leave any individual interaction is communicating that he has choices, which makes him more valuable in her eyes. The importance of having a mission or purpose that's bigger than any individual relationship cannot be overstated. Women are naturally attracted to men who are going somewhere in life, who have goals they're actively pursuing, and who won't lose their sense of direction if a relationship doesn't work out. This doesn't necessarily mean having huge career ambitions, though it could. It means having something you care about enough that you're willing to sacrifice immediate pleasure to achieve it. Your mission might be building a business, mastering a skill, contributing to a cause you believe in, or creating something meaningful. The specific content matters less than the fact that you have something that drives you and gives your life direction. When you have a genuine mission, it shows up in everything about you. How you spend your time, what you talk about, the energy you bring to interactions, and the standards you have for yourself and others. A man with a mission is naturally less available, which creates scarcity. He's naturally more interesting because he has stories and experiences related to pursuing his goals. He's naturally more confident because he has evidence of his ability to achieve things. And he's naturally more attractive because he represents security and stability to a woman who might want to build something with him. The psychological principle of reciprocity plays a crucial role in building attraction, but it must be applied strategically. Reciprocity suggests that people feel obligated to return favors and match the level of investment they receive from others. In attraction dynamics, this means that giving too much too soon can actually decrease attraction because it creates an imbalance that feels uncomfortable to her. The key is to give slightly less than you receive, at least in the early stages of getting to know someone. If she texts you a paragraph, you respond with a sentence or two. If she suggests hanging out sometime, you might say you're busy this week, but could potentially do something next week. If she compliments you, you might say thank you and change the subject rather than immediately reciprocating. This creates a dynamic where she's slightly more invested than you are, which maintains attraction and gives her space to pursue you. As the relationship develops and she demonstrates consistent interest and investment, you can gradually increase your own investment to match hers. The goal isn't to be stingy or withholding forever, but rather to allow attraction to build naturally through balanced investment, rather than overwhelming her with too much too soon. Understanding and applying the concept of social dynamics is crucial for becoming irresistible. Social dynamics refers to how status, hierarchy, and influence operate within social groups. The man she can't ignore understands these dynamics intuitively and positions himself strategically within them. This doesn't mean being manipulative or political, but rather being aware of how group interactions work and how to navigate them successfully. In group settings, the most attractive men are typically those who are comfortable being the center of attention without needing to dominate every conversation, who can elevate others while maintaining their own status, and who can handle challenges to their position with grace and humor. They understand that true confidence doesn't need to prove itself constantly, and that the most powerful position is often achieved by lifting others up rather than putting them down. The man she can't ignore also understands that attraction often happens as much in group settings as in one-on-one interactions. How you treat other people, how you handle yourself under social pressure, and how you navigate complex group dynamics all provide her with valuable information about what kind of partner you would be. Many women make their initial attraction decisions based on observing how a man behaves when he doesn't think he's being evaluated. Finally, the integration of all these principles into a coherent personal style is what separates the men who become truly irresistible from those who simply learn techniques. Becoming the man she can't ignore isn't about memorizing strategies or following scripts. It's about understanding the underlying psychological principles that create attraction, and then expressing them through your own unique personality and life experiences. This means taking the time to develop genuine depth as a person. It means pursuing interests and experiences that make you more interesting and well-rounded. It means working on your emotional intelligence and social skills. It means developing your physical presence and communication abilities. It means having the courage to be selectively vulnerable and authentically yourself. When all of these elements come together in a man who's genuinely committed to his own growth and development, the result is magnetic attraction that doesn't require effort or manipulation to maintain. The man she can't ignore isn't trying to be irresistible. He's simply become the kind of man who naturally attracts and inspires others through his presence, his purpose, and his approach to life. He's done the inner work necessary to become truly confident, genuinely interesting, and authentically attractive. And in doing so, he's discovered that the best way to attract the right woman isn't to chase her, but to become the kind of man she can't help but be drawn to.